Hello, everybody. Um, I will be right back. I wanted to start the stream on time because I try to do that. I can't do a whole lot of streaming, but I do try to stream whenever I can. With that said, I will be right back. All right. Oh, Hattie, nice to see you. Hello, Silva. Oh, 1 second. Oh, let me just. Sorry, I had to use the bathroom real quick before we got started. What do you mean a minute late, Silva? I'm not a minute late. You're a minute late. All right. Okay, and gonna do the promote the knowledge keepers page. So how was everybody's week? How did the video editing go, Hattie? Or the video posting? I saw you doing that at like 5 o'clock in the morning. It's been a week. It has been a week of all time. It went chaotic. Oh goodness, goodness gravy. Productive, but doxed myself a few times, thankfully. All right, that's good, Hattie. Okay. Oop. Okay. There we go. Alrighty. Okay. So, what do you mean by it's been a week, Silva? What happened? Did something happen? Alrighty. Let's go to just chatting screen. Boop. I snapped almost in time for my model to appear. I don't know what that's going to look like with delay. So how was everyone's week? What did everybody get up to this week? I had this funny experience. Oh, Silva, did you see that meme going around about the lady in Texas who baked bread in her mailbox because it was so hot? She had like one of those like brick outer casings for her mailbox, and her mailbox was like an oven, so it only took her 45 minutes to bake a loaf of bread. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no, Nabiru. Was it a yabai question? Nabiru, were you torturing Hattie by being yabai? Is that what happened? Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh related. Okay. I played Yu-Gi-Oh earlier this week too. I play sometimes with my roommate. It was Say So. Okay, Nabiru, I'll believe you. I play Yu-Gi-Oh sometimes with my roommate, and it's funny because like most of my collection is still in storage, but my roommate wants me to be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh with him, so he bought me some cards. I bought some other cards to upgrade the stuff he gave me, and so I have a couple decks of stuff that he's given me, stuff I've gotten myself, and my main one is my Machina deck. that I like a lot. It doesn't have a lot of answers. It's not a competitive deck. Like, it doesn't run Ash Blossom. Like, I side deck um Effect Veiler, which is funny because we never side deck because we're just doing casual play. But the entire deck is built around the combo of getting stuff on the board, swarming the board with the giant machines. And I run no answers, so that way, like a well-timed Ash Blossom or Drolden Lockbird will completely shut me down. And I think that's just hilarious. Hello, Gearframe87. You like turtles? Well, it's good to see that you like turtles. But yeah, so like with my Machina deck, it can run really fast and do. No, I don't run impermanence. I don't run any of the floodgates or hand traps. Like, I side deck Effect Veiler, but the thing is, I have a rule that I don't spend more than like $2 on a card. Yeah, I loved Machina Gadgets. It was my main deck for the better part of a decade. Like, from the moment that structure deck came out, it was my main deck. But then I was updating and I was going, and then I left Yu-Gi-Oh for a while because like my life took me in a different direction. So like now, yeah, I bet you do get frame 87. It's funny to be back into like playing Yu-Gi-Oh again and doing that kind of stuff. And my roommate's always tinkering with decks. My roommate's main deck, the one that he has assembled that he plays consistently, is Sacred Beasts. It's about turboing out Raphael and Haman and getting the field spell out so they can't be targeted, they can't be destroyed, and just kind of running over his opponent. That's like the main thing my roommate's deck does. And because I don't run a whole bunch of answers, at first, whenever I first, like, my roommate first gave me cards and got me back into the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, I didn't really have a whole lot of answers. Like, if he got his 4,000 beat sticks on the board, I would kind of just flail because like I couldn't destroy them. I couldn't, like, my normal answer when my opponent puts a thing on the board that's problematic for me is to ram Fortress into it and then Fortress destroy it with card effect. But I have to destroy the field spell and then the monster, and it was just, and since he would normally be sitting on a Haman in defense mode, I couldn't like, yeah, I couldn't Fortress go boom, because his Haman was in defense mode, and if you attack, so I would just take damage. And then I updated some of my cards. I picked up some other things. I got Machina Ruin Force, who is kind of like one of my new boss cards. And Machina Ruin Force being a 4,600 attack point beat stick that's easy to get on the board that can just shut down so much counterplay in the battle phase, is huge. So like a lot of times whenever we play now, if he gets out his stuff, it becomes, because he runs all the hand traps. He runs the Veilers, the Ash Blossom, he doesn't have Drone Lockbird yet, but I think he runs like he doesn't have infinite impermanence, but he has the Ash Blossoms, he has the Effect Veilers, he has I think, what's it, Snow Bunny or yeah, it really does. But yeah, it's funny, when I updated my stuff, to my deck. I also have one of the dark machinas that essentially is an honest, but it only increases by 1200. Is just really funny for surprising people with things in the battle phase. Um, but like yeah, our battles a lot of time become he builds his board and then it becomes, can I build a board through his interruptions? Um, and and be able to get Ruin Force on board to beat over his monster and still be able to do damage. Because if he has Raphael and Haman on the field, I'm normally only getting one, because I can only summon, like, Ruin Force's effect to summon itself can only be used once per turn. So I'm only getting one Ruin Force on the field. Now that I have some of the train Xyz, I can do some of that stuff. Yeah, that would be my best way to describe it. We do a lot of just really chill stuff. And it's now that I have, what is it? I have some of the train Xyz that I can use in order to help with getting over stuff. I almost used one of them the other day. I was about to, but then he just scooped because he realized I had game. What is it? So I was gonna use the combination of Gustav Max and then go from Gustav Max into Juggernaut Lieb. And then Juggernaut Liebe become a 6k and then swing twice in order to beat over. Titan Cider. Not deck yourself turn 1. That sounds about right, Gearframe. Titan Cider, it's a rarely known, fairly cheap trap. It's not super fast like Imperm, but it's still a fun negator and turns attacks to 0. It always keeps coming back. Oh, that's interesting. Like, my roommate does this one thing that kind of frustrates me because, like, yeah, we were just talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit, Tom. How are you doing? How was your week, Tom? And see, it's fun. It's interesting because, like, my roommate is a person who like values time spent together. He's one of those people where I think one of his like love languages is sharing experiences with each other, right? And so for him, he loves playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, he enjoys winning. Well, I'm sure your roommate is a person, Gear. Meh. Like cards that are not super meta relevant, but also are unexpected. That's nice, Nabiru. And he likes it when the game is just like something that's extended and drawn out. And sometimes I dealt with this a lot before I got Ruin Force. When he gets in the lead, when he'll have game, but he doesn't want to end the game because he wants to keep playing. So then he just won't attack for like turns on end to see if I can come up with an answer. Maybe they are, Mushroom Silva. So like at first it just really frustrated me when he did that because I was like, just end the game so we can go to game 2. But I realized that that's just how he enjoys playing. He enjoys having extended games. But then after I got Ruin Force, that didn't happen as much because then if he gave me an extra turn, I would normally draw into a way to build Ruin Force. Yes, Machina Gear for Uh, I actually learned something the other day because, like, I don't know if this just shows how old I am, but like, I remember when your Google name was your YouTube channel name. Whenever that whole merger happened, and then like, if you wanted to change your YouTube name, you had to change your Google name. And so I, for the longest time, had this problem that, like, because I'm not one of those big pro streamers, I don't feel the need to make multiple email accounts and business stuff. I just do this as a hobby. Um, and I was dealing with like people saying, "Hey, whenever I check your profile on Google, whenever you send me an email to see who emailed me, it says Oriansenshi on your profile." I'm like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "I should probably fix that. I'll see if I can do something." And so I was just tinkering around to see if there was some way to like possibly separate it or whatever, and I found out that apparently it's a thing now. You can just set your channel name to whatever. It's not tied to your Google name anymore. And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What? Oh, okay." I did still leave the nickname on my Google profile as Oriansenshi just because. Um, but yeah, that's funny. Uh, when you mentioned about the old Google name, that made me think of that gear frame. Um, so yeah, that uh but so I had this funny experience this week. Well, World in did I say World of? It should be Worlds in Peril. Did I misspell it? Oh no. Hold on. Worlds in Peril. Okay. I was scared for a second. Worlds in Peril is another Powered by the Apocalypse superhero game. Powered by the Apocalypse or the Apocalypse World. Okay. Powered by the Apocalypse or the Apocalypse World engine is a very popular um, game engine that is like sourced out to, I believe, Creative Commons. So that way a lot of other game designers can use that engine for building their games. And Masks is another Powered by the Apocalypse game. And so I learned about Masks first, and I was exploring Masks. I've done a few streams. My last two streams were dealing with making Masks characters, you know. So I've been exploring some of that. And I was a little bit like, I enjoy the mechanics of Masks. I enjoy how smooth and streamlined character creation is. I was able to make 3 characters in one sitting last stream. Well, two and a half, but yeah. And I enjoyed how smooth character creation was. I enjoyed how, like, I enjoy a lot of things about Masks, and but the one thing that bugs me about Masks is that, like, you have to play a teenager. Like, the oldest in the rules, the oldest age your character would be like 20. And like, all of the themes and the character interactions and all of the moves and everything. Okay, Gearframe. Herbert is your favorite Mask. Okay. All of the themes, the moves, and the setup is all based around this idea that you are very young. You are a teenager or up to maybe a young adult, and you are dealing with all of these expectations. The whole thing with your label shifting as you're interacting is dealing with all these questions of identity, which I think are kind of cool. But I also was interested in other superhero games because I like superhero games, and I also like find it easier to role play an older person just because I am an older person. And so I started doing some digging for other PBTA systems, Powered by the Apocalypse systems, because I really enjoy the Powered by the Apocalypse engine. It's funny I say I like it whenever, like, I've only played in one campaign that used it. I played a Monster of the Week. Yes, gear frame, knees hurt. You can feel it when it rains, all that good stuff. Um and uh I played in a Monster of the Week campaign that ended prematurely, but it was very fun. It was very exciting. I really loved the character I got to play in that campaign, and I really enjoyed the setup and the mechanics of a Powered by the Apocalypse system. And the more I learned about masks, the more I was like, I love the way this deals with combat. I love the way this system seems to flow. I was watching all these actual plays, and there was all this content about masks, and I was like, somebody has to have made an adult game, right? Or maybe an adult hack or something. Um, and when I did some more research, I found out about Worlds in Peril, which is a game that came out before Masks. It's an older PBTA game. That was the Supers game before Masks came out, and then like a lot of the Supers fan base for PBTA games moved from Worlds in Peril to Masks. So like that became the go-to game that a lot of people were playing. Um, and I was like, well, let me look up at the stuff about Worlds in Peril, and um I found a lot of mixed reviews what I could find. And it was hard because um it turns out that like Worlds in Peril used to have this huge, well, I they say it was huge. I never saw it. Community of games and fan content and actual plays and all that stuff, but all of it was on Google Plus. So like some of it got saved in the Google Plus Archives website, but like a lot of that stuff I think is just lost to the ether. Um so that's just funny that like that's one of the things of our digital age, when so much of the content of a game or a community are yeah, the PDFs on script, but like I mean like people talking about answering questions, ruling questions, hacks, fan ideas, and yeah, all that stuff. And it's interesting to see this is one of the games that kind of got almost left behind by the digital age as social media moved on to a new website. All of that stuff, like it's like if Reddit got phased out, all of that stuff on that community would just be lost to the ether, unless some stuff would get saved by some kind of an archiving site. But for the most part, it just gets lost. But I'll be honest, I was really hesitant about buying Worlds in Peril, because like I love masks, I love the mechanics, I love the gameplay, I love the character creation. Reddit, nobody knows what Reddit's doing, Gearframe. Nobody knows what Reddit's doing. And with Worlds in Peril, I saw when I looked online for reviews, what reviews I could find. A lot of the reviews were saying it's good, but and they were saying stuff like it's good, but this mechanic doesn't work super well. It's good, but the book needed to be gone over one more time by an editor. Yeah, those hesitant buts. Where they're like, it's good, but it needed to be gone over one more time by an editor in order to fix some grammatical and spelling mistakes. It's good, but the formatting is not really great. It's just blocks of text. Nothing is varied and organized, and it's not a very readable PDF because it's all just blocks of text and it's not like varied, because usually when you're reading a book, it helps if things are like varied or spaced out in a certain way in order to make it easier for your eyes to process. And there was a lot of that. All right, Gear Frame, have yourself a good night. It was great having you. Yeah, but it has those hesitant butts, as you put it, Tom. And so I've been I was really hesitant about buying it, and I finally decided I was gonna buy it. And like it's only $15, and it's funny because like so the same publisher that made Worlds in Peril recently released, I think it was recently, an updated version of the rules with a different game engine where it went from Worlds in Peril to Galaxies in Peril. And I was like, should I pick that up? It's like, that's more expensive. And when I looked up reviews for Galaxies in Peril, I saw there was this like, there were all these great reviews of people who were reading playtest stuff about like as it was in development, and then as soon as the game actually got released, there was all these negative reviews and people being like, it doesn't fit. Like I saw this one really scathing one where this person was just like, it doesn't fit the superhero theme well. It doesn't add enough stuff to the engine it's using, because it used an entirely different game engine. It used Forged in the Dark for Galaxies in Peril. And because I was reading a thing where someone was comparing Worlds in Peril to Galaxies in Peril, and they're like, Galaxies in Peril has a completely different focus. It's more about solving mysteries, and investigating, and there was some other stuff they talked about in there, but they were basically saying that it was a thing where the mechanics didn't have enough added to it in order to fit a superhero theme. And I was like, okay, well that seals the deal. I'm gonna get Worlds in Peril. And then like the day before I was planning to pick it up because somebody, one of the people I live with owes me some money. So I was like, okay, as soon as they pay me back, I'll pick up Worlds in Peril, which, spoiler alert, was supposed to be today. But then something happened, and like life happened and stuff happened. It's not a big deal. It's not like I'm like out. I'm not like bugged about it. It was just kind of depressing. So I was like, I wanted to buy the thing, but my friend bought it for me, which was really nice. One of my friends, bought it for me, so I have it. And it's really interesting. I'm reading through. It's got a lot of interesting mechanics. I think some stuff needs to get like baked in a little bit better. And one common thing I saw with Worlds in Peril in the reviews was a lot of people saying that like if you're buying Worlds in Peril, understand that you're gonna have to homebrew a lot of stuff. If you're looking for a ready, out the box, completely finished and play tested game, you're not gonna find it in Worlds in Peril. Which, like, what I loved about Masks was that it was so well designed that it feels like right out the box you don't have to homebrew anything. It's all like right there. It's smooth, and like it's some people have described Masks as like the pinnacle of narrative gameplay, because of how smooth its mechanics work, and how well it does what it's supposed to do. But then I'm like, you know what? I have ran and played D&D 5th edition for years. I am used to homebrewing rules. Like, so it's not like anything I'm really gonna shy away from, you know what I mean? Anyway, I just got the game yesterday, been reading through last night and into this morning. I haven't finished reading everything, so we're gonna go over some stuff, what I know so far, and then we're gonna go through some stuff I have. So there was one thing that really annoyed me, right? That like really bugged me. uh about Worlds in Peril, and it was that um when I looked on the Google Plus archives, right, I found an entry made by, I think, one of the developers or something, with that originally had a link to a Dropbox file that was like, this is where we have the Creative Commons version. We're always going to have the Creative Commons version available for if you want to share with your friends. It has none of our licensed artwork or any of that stuff, but it has the text that's Creative Commons, so you can like distribute it to your friends or the other players at your table and yada yada. Well, it was a Google Plus archive thing, but I still tried the link, and it looks like that Dropbox was taken down, so they don't have the Creative Commons version out anymore. And I was like, well, that's kind of frustrating. But like, it was years ago, and also I can't begrudge them for wanting to make the money on their product they made. You know what I mean? But it was really silly because whenever you buy the game, it comes with this folder of this zip file with all these different games, all these different files. There's the core rulebook, the drives book, and like the background and the origins book, because they use two different. You pick two different playbooks, one origin, I think, one drive, and so there's all that stuff. But then mixed in with all of that stuff is the Creative Commons version of the rules. And I just thought that was so silly. Like, you're going to release the Creative Commons, but it's in the folder with everything else that somebody's already paid for. But, like, does the state, like, they said they were always going to have it available, but, like, does a statement said on a website that went under still matter? Like, they probably said other things. They made other business decisions and what have you. Maybe they have the Creative Commons version somewhere else and I just couldn't find it. I wouldn't be surprised. I only did so much research. Before I actually decided to get Worlds in Peril, I was trying to work on a hack of masks to try to introduce adult characters to masks, and I was talking to people on the masks Discord server, and they're like, you want Worlds in Peril, that's what you want, if you know, with what you're looking for. I'm like, but, and I was being a little bit stubborn. I shared what I was working with. Some people gave me some feedback, and I think some of it could have worked. I think if I worked at it long enough and play tested it enough, I could eventually make something that could assimilate what I was looking for. But like, if I was gonna do that, I might as well just like homebrew and fix whatever problems there are in Worlds in Peril. You know what I mean? Anyway. So yeah, let's get into Worlds in Peril. I know a bunch of people probably left for Hattie's thing. But let's get rolling. Okay. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. Okay. All right, so we're going to go over the basics of character creation. Some stuff I'm going to be reading right here with you. That's the thing. That's what I offer. That is what I bring to the table as a streamer, is we learn it together, we experience it together. I learn as you learn, and we brainstorm ideas. Tonight's a brainstorming stream. So let's get rolling. So, you have your hero profile, which you get you fill in a bunch of stuff, then you choose your origin and drive books. And this is one thing where I think it's kind of weird because I feel like you should choose your origin and drive books and then build your powers and your other character stuff. So I think this is kind of a little backwards, but we'll see. So the origin is a general descriptor of like generally how you got your powers. Drive books are I think like your driving motivation, the thing you're trying to accomplish. I haven't gone through them. I have them open over here. I don't know. We're gonna get to it. We'll see what happens. Code name, real name, playbook. You usually want to pick a nemesis. Yeah. Current costume. Oh, these are just some suggestions and stuff. So you have these basic stats. There are 5 basic stats in Worlds in Peril. 5 is kind of an important number for the whatchamacallit, powered by the Apocalypse system. So there's 5 basic stats: Smash, Influence, Maneuver, and Protect. And when you roll or do something, depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it, you will use whichever stat is the most accurate. You'll roll 2d6 and you will add whatever your modifier is in the appropriate stat. Now one thing so normally in PBTA games, a move will tell you which stat you use. It will be like, okay, if you're attacking, you must use Smash or something like that, right? It'll be specific as to what stat you have to use. In Worlds in Peril, that's left very ambiguous for most of the moves. Some moves do still specify they have to be made with a certain stat, but most of the moves are very open-ended and are like, you can use whichever stat is appropriate for how you're doing what you're doing. So like if you are, I almost said directly engaging a threat. I think it's like facing an enemy, because directly engage a threat is masks. And so basically if you're fighting an enemy, if you're trading blows with an enemy, you can use Smash if you're hitting it like brute force, using like an offensive tactic. But if you are engaging an enemy in some kind of like battle of wits, you might use Influence. Or if you're using your speed and agility, like using some like super martial arts and ninja tools and stuff, you might use Maneuver, which adds to a lot of the it adds a lot of freedom in how you perform different things. I'm not going to go over all the different basic moves because that could be a stream in and of itself. If I like this system and I get the hang of this system, if I ever get a chance to run this system or play this system, I will possibly look into doing more content. Like I want to expand, because for a long time I just had Mutants and Masterminds content. So I wouldn't mind doing some like Prowlers and Paragons, or some I've done some masks content, some mask streams. Did a couple Prowlers and Paragon streams. I think it was 2 of them. And it would be interesting to do like maybe some rules breakdown or lore things. The thing is, you don't need a whole lot of rules breakdowns for PBTA games, because the rules are kind of like they're very general and they kind of do what you need them to do. Anyway, Investigate is the 5th stat. Smash, Influence, Maneuver, Protect, and Investigate. I said 5 stats, then I only said 4 of the 5. That's funny. So let me write that down on my notepad. Let's write that down on the notepad. Don't know what kind of character we're going to make yet. Smash, influence, maneuver, investigate. Okay. Now, on character creation, you start with these numbers that you assign as you see fit for your character. -1, 0, +1, +1, and +2. And these are what you're adding to those things. I don't know if they increase. I haven't read the I have not read the whatchamacallit advancement section yet. I've heard the advancement is really slow in this game. Normally in PBTA games, you earn XP towards your advancement. Every time you fail, which is why you only roll when it's important. In this game, you have to, I think, complete things for your drives in order to earn things for advancement. Which that's a little bit weird. That might be one of the things I homebrew out. But on the flip side, having slower advancement means that it's more effective for longer campaigns because you get you go longer before you hit the end of your path. You know what I mean? But one thing with PBTA games is because you can take moves from other playbooks, it's like you can normally do a whole bunch of different types of advancements and stuff. Since there are different playbooks here, and it's not super clear on it, I'm wondering how you get moves from different playbooks. We'll see as we go. We'll see what happens when we get there. I haven't read that part yet, so yeah. But yeah, here are the numbers you got. Kinda like multi-classing Nabiru. I don't know how, I know that's how it normally works in PBTA games. But I don't know if that's one of the ways that it works here. All right, put those numbers down. I'll assign them as I see fit. All for one style stealing skills. That could be a power. Well, maybe we could build all for one in here. I think I'd more build him as a villain though. When I asked on Facebook about it, right, I got a lot of references where someone was talking about how they love this game because it's good for longer campaigns, and like, what was it they said? It's really easy to make a villain, which I haven't gotten to any of the GM stuff or any of the villain stuff. And they said it's really easy to make a villain, to make enemies, so that way you can make them on the fly as your group needs them. And I think that's really cool. I really wish Worlds in Peril had migrated to a Discord server. Like, if when Google Plus went down, if people had just migrated to Discord servers, which they probably migrated to their own individual Discord servers, but I don't think there's like a specific Discord server. Actually, let me check something. Let me see if the publisher has a Discord server. Now I'm thinking about it. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is new to me. All right. They have a Facebook. They have a Twitter. They have a Twitter. That's not helpful. Okay. Ba ba da ba da. Nope. Alrighty. Nope. I don't see a Discord link. They do have a Twitter. Let me take a look at the Twitter. I'm going on a tangent again. They haven't made a tweet in about a year. No, that was a tweet they shared. That wasn't even one they carried. Okay. Alright. I got distracted. I got followed by another VTuber artist. Every time I get followed by VTuber artists, there's part of me that's just like, I wonder if they're real. This one looks real, though. Yeah, this one looks real. Anyway. I'll give them a follow back because they look real. Anyway. Sorry, I got distracted. Well, that's one of the things that's like about me is I got distracted. I get distracted easily. Comes with the ADHD. And it's really funny. I had to fill out this form. I had to fill out this form recently that was talking about my disability and how it affects my daily life. And I had to explain on there that like my main hobby is streaming. I don't stream enough or enough popular or high quality content to really make a living off of it. Like if I did, I wouldn't be applying for disability. But it was just funny explaining streaming on a government form. It was just really silly. Anyway, so yeah, these are the moves. So examine is investigate. I don't know why they have these strange spaces. Why is that say? Why is there a pot? Why? Like the weird spaces on conjunctions, cool. But stats, is it not a okay? This is one of the things where people said it needed to be gone over by an editor. Yeah, reasons. This is the Creative Commons version because I don't want to show their like copyrighted artwork or whatever. And I don't think there's any copyright. Yeah, there's no artwork on the actual playbooks. So, they have a lot of. That's one thing. The rulebook has a lot of really great art. It has a lot of really great art, and it's a very pretty book. They don't have any of their things spaced, or there are a lot of places where they could have put bulleted lists or formatted things in a lot more readable fashion. But they did not. And it frustrates me. But I push through it. But yes, reasons, Nabiru. So yeah, here are the basic moves. Takedown can be any stat, usually smash. Seize is where you take something from someone. So takedown is the offensive, like inflict a condition on an enemy stat move. And it uses condition-based damage, similar to masks. Except in masks, there are set conditions that have set consequences whenever you receive those conditions. In Worlds in Peril, conditions can be anything you want them to be. They're varied. You give them a descriptor, and they come in 3 flavors. uh what is it, like minor, major, and critical. A minor inconvenience is something that you have to actually take effort to shake off, but like it'll pass eventually. It doesn't actually hinder you too much. But if you don't take the time to shake it off, which I don't know what the mechanic is for shaking it off, um, but if you don't shake off that thing, it'll become a moderate. So a moderate consequence gives you a -1 to any roll that's involved with the thing with the moderate condition, and a critical condition gives you a -1 to everything for each critical condition you have. And like this is one thing I don't super like about the game. See, like one of the things I like about masks is that your character, if you like take all your conditions or whatever, you're taken out of the scene. You're knocked unconscious. You flee the scene. You bug out. You do something to get yourselves out of the scene, which is normally what you see in a lot of these PvTA games. But in Worlds in Peril, if you get to 4 critical conditions, if you take a 4th critical condition or a 5th, if you have the special thing that gives you an extra critical condition you can take, you just die. Like you do a roll to see whether or not you actually die, or if you just look like you die and get revived and actually survive by the skin of your teeth and get brought back later. And like you just roll to see if your character's dead, or like, and like it takes away some player agency in some ways, because like your character, if they die, if they come back, if you want them to come back, the game master, which they call an EIC or editor in chief because they're going with the comic book theme, gets to choose some things that change about your character depending on what you rolled. And then they get to say how you're different and how you've been changed by dying, and I like, or getting near death, or to the brink. And I think that's also going to be one of the things I homebrew out if I ever run this system, is going to be like, no, because that's just not, I'm not a big fan of like super gritty murder. Like I want death to matter, but like also it takes a lot in the game, from what I've seen, for you to take 4 critical conditions. So like I don't know. Clearing conditions is really easy mechanically. So I don't know. I think it's one of the things where maybe I should just run it rules as written before I like start looking at what I can change. But anyway, I got distracted. That's not involved with character creation. So then you get your powers. Now you have to have some kind of a general description of your powers. You give it some kind of a general rule or description for what your powers are. One thing about Worlds in Peril is you, in this game, normally have like one power. You have like one power that you do that is your thing, right? And some of the reviews I got on the game was that people felt like it was too restrictive. Your characters feel weaker in this game because you only have one power, whereas in a game like Prowlers and Paragons, you can have as many powers as you want to buy, as you want to invest points in. Which, that encourages people to either have a small group of really strong powers, or have a large suite of relatively weak powers, but like you get rewarded with I can't remember what they're called in Prowlers and Paragons. Those points, not hero points, but they're essentially mutants mastermind 0 points. You get, I think it's like starts with a D. Determination, I think, is what it was. Yeah. You get certain points of determination if you have low ranking powers. But the thing is, Prowlers and Paragons is a much more crunchy system because it's based on an entirely different like setup and mechanic. And that's not a bad thing, it's just different. So yeah, you have a general description of your powers. And your power summary of like, and it gives some suggestions for different powers that you can have, right? And it gives you some suggestions for sources of powers. Now here's the thing. It breaks powers into two categories. There are powers that are inherent abilities that might have limitations that you can't lose. And then there are powers that are advantages, which is a power that you get from an item or tool that can be broken, damaged, or taken away. And so you have this different category for powers that are advantages. But the thing is, let me pull up the character sheet. Actually, let me pull up the character sheet so we can take a look at it. Why? Hold up. There's only. Okay. All right. This is a form fillable character sheet. Code name, maneuver, investigate, protect. It's included with the stuff. I don't know what all that stuff is. We'll deal with that later. Origin, nemesis. So these are the conditions. Could be dangerous if ignored. Take -1 to anything involving it. And then you can take 3 critical conditions before you have a really bad day. On the 4th, it goes real bad. Or 5th if you have the, like I said. I haven't dealt with bonds. Bonds are an interesting mechanic. Yeah, I could see that, Nabiru. So you have your powers, right? Oh, they also have these have the GM character sheet as well. Okay. I want to separate those before I hand them off to people. If I do, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to run it. See, I've been a game master for so long and run so many games. Whenever I learn a new game, my first instinct is generally going to be, am I going to play this or am I going to run it? And I don't know any games that are going on right now. So if I want there to be more games with this system, I'm probably going to have to run it. So there's a big thing on team stuff. And then you would put your advantages here with your powers that are advantages. And then you have your power profile, which we're going to get to in a second. Which is where you talk about what you do with your powers. And this is what makes the powers system really interesting in Worlds in Peril. And a lot of people were very sad that they essentially chucked this out the window when they made Galaxies in Peril. I saw a lot of people who were really sad about this. But it's funny because as many people as I saw that were sad that this was removed for Galaxies in Peril, I saw almost as many people, if not more, that were like, this system is so confusing, it makes character creation a nightmare, and they didn't like it. So then I can see why they'd remove it, which is really funny, seeing such a big divide in a community. So for your powers, you write down simple. What you do is you write down things you can do with your power. um, things that you are capable of doing in order to keep track of what in the fiction you can try to do. Now, how they explain it, it's a thing where like your smash means you're good at doing offensive stuff, but if you don't have a superpower that lets you damage someone made of steel, you can have all the smash in the world, but you're not going to be able to do much unless you get creative with it and find some way to hit them. Uh like you can be a martial artist with like great athleticism and whatnot and have a high smash, but if you don't have in your power profile that you can punch something made of steel and you fight someone made of steel, uh you're gonna have a bad time. And the GM is just gonna be like, well, your powers don't say you can do that. You'd have to push. Which that's an interesting move I'll get to if I ever break down the moves. But so simple are things that you do every day. Things you do every day, things that you do most commonly. These are listing things you do with your power. Difficult is something that you're capable of and you do often do, but it requires concentration or control. It requires you to actually apply effort. Borderline is things you've done in the past, but were like you pushing your limits kind of thing. Possible are things that you could theoretically do, but you've never actually done with your powers. Impossible are things that you know flat out you just can't do. Your powers can't do that thing. I think defining something that's impossible to your powers is a really interesting angle to take in a supers game, especially one that's trying to be super rules light, because it almost adds a level of crunch. Those that don't know, crunch is generally defined as like having like a lot of mechanics and rules and math and numbers in order to optimize characters. Like you're crunching numbers in order to make a more capable character, and it's usually used to refer to optimization. And this almost adds a layer of that. But here's the thing, right? There's no rule on this. There's no currency you spend in order to build your character to say how strong your possible, impossible, or borderline things can be. And that's one thing they talk about, is that you can make a character that is like Superman level powerful. But your GM is going to say something along the lines of, I need a way to challenge your character. And I think some of the challenges I've seen thus far, it seems like the GM has some interesting tools for doing that. But just giving that freedom and saying it comes down to a conversation, and it's what I like and dislike about this mechanic is because it's so freeform, because it's so because it is so just free and open, it forces there to be a conversation between player and GM about it. Like in Prowlers and Paragons, you have the GM will set a dice limit and say your dice can't go above a certain limit, right? And then that intuitively creates a limitation to how powerful your abilities can be. And you get rewarded for having weaker abilities in order to gain more determination. I think that I'm gonna remember what that is at some point. But yes. And the GM gets veto power. So like there is kind of a conversation in other like more crunchy games, but it's more of a conversation in this game, which I think is very fitting for it being a PBTA game. Like in Masks, they give you lists of powers they want you to take, and the idea is that your powers need to fit what role you're taking, what role you're filling on the team. like a beacon shouldn't have OP powers because the entire thing about the beacon is that no one thinks that they can be a superhero. So they need to have powers, or not. If they do have powers, it has to be weak, or some kind of thing that they just don't know how to use properly. Just something about them is in a way that, like, nobody believes that they can be a hero. And that's the thing with the beacon. But with this, it's a lot more open. Yeah. Now there's this other interesting mechanic where you can list if you have some powers that were lost, things you used to do but you can't do anymore. That could be interesting for character development. And it gives an example of someone making a Green Arrow character. They call it Arrowhead, but they're like, it's essentially Green Arrow. And so power summary: Olympic level athletics, pinpoint accuracy. So you have the multiple powers, and the thing is, you can have multiple powers, but you can only have like one thing in each entry at first. Powers that are advantages: quiver of trick arrows, something for everything. Something simple: bypass simple security or electronics. Difficult: take out faraway targets. Borderline: take out a whole room, hit multiple targets at once with a trick arrow. And possible, but not really tried before: use anything as a deadly projectile. And impossible: hit someone from more than 2 blocks away. Now, first off, this angers me. Not really angers, like I'm exaggerating thoroughly, but like, archers hit people from ridiculous distances. 2 blocks is not that long. Yeah, he's like Hawkeye, Green Arrow, all that stuff. But like, that impossible thing of not more than 2 blocks away, I'm like, that is ooh. Like, I understand mechanically you don't want them being able to hit people from halfway across the map, but like, you don't even use maps in this game. Like, not more than 2 blocks? Like, I understand he's trying to make a low-powered character, but like, that's beyond low-powered. That's underpowered. Yeah, I guess. But that just feels like, now I want to look that up. Okay, so a recurve bow is 20 to 35 yards. Compound archers can hit targets from 30 to 40 yards. And some competitive archers can shoot up to 60 yards. Okay. Eh. Okay. So this is weird. Can I show my... Okay, so average accurate distance of a recurve, which I think is like a regular bow, 20 to 35 yards. Compound bows, which is probably what a superhero is going to be using, is going to be 30 to 40 yards, right? So I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty decent distance. Some competitive archers can hit up to 60 yards, right? A yard is 3 feet. A yard is 3 feet. How long is a block? 50 feet to 200 feet. I'm used to like, hey, Superhero 60, how are you doing today? How was your week, Superhero 60? I'm like, I'm not used to. Maybe I just don't get out much, which is also perfectly obvious, perfectly possible. But like, I don't imagine blocks being that long. You're doing great. How was your week? You do anything great? You do anything exciting, Superhero 60? But yeah, I guess in that case, distance between, yeah, then I guess that's pushing 400 to 600 feet between two blocks. Okay. So that's like 200. Okay, so I guess 2 blocks is longer than the longest average. Longer than even competitive archers can shoot. Okay. All right. Fine. Okay. Sure. All right. I'm mad. Okay, hold on. There we go. I'll flush the bow hunter 20 to 30 yards. Okay. $40. Just chilling right now? That's cool, Superhero 60. We're going over some stuff with a new gaming system. Imagine if you wanted to shoot further, you would give a harsher weakness like recoil damage, easy to miss. You need to always see the target. Probably also works for other long distance attacks, so people are forced to interact. Yeah, I guess. So okay, so a bow can shoot up to 400 yards, but it's only accurate because of human limitations. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, let's get back to it. So I guess that 2 city blocks is warranted. Okay. Whatever. Whatever. So shoot from across the city. Yes. So there's no requirement to take limitations, but I'll get into that, okay? So your power stuff acts like a limitation of what you can do with your powers. So it's answering the question, can you do that, right? And have you done that before? then you have to like deal with further defining and limiting the powers. This is about as far as I got. If you want to have control of the fiction, the power, you need have some limitations for the power, so you have more bonds to burn. So how this game works is you have this resource called bonds. You can have bonds with different organizations or people, even other player characters, which I'm kind of iffy about. That bond, you can have a number of bonds, bond number. The higher that number is, the more that organization respects you, likes you, what have you. The more that organization, people, group, the more that they like you, or that, and then at any point when you're doing a role, you can say, I really want this to succeed, so I'm going to choose to burn a bond. And a bond doesn't just make something a success, it makes it a critical success. So you choose one of your bonds, you decrease it by 1, and at some point before the end of the session, it can be right then and there, it can be after the fight, it can be what have you, as long as it's sometime after the session, there has to be some kind of a scene explaining why and how the feelings that that organization or people had for you changed. So, adding limitations to your powers, gives you more bonds that you can then have on character creation, so then you have more bonds to burn to guarantee success. Which that's the reward for limiting your powers. So the main way it keeps track of it is how well your power allows you to easily fit in with others. Because the idea is the strong, supernaturally like Superman strong powers makes it hard for you to interact with people. So if you have like a world shattering thing where like you can touch someone and drain their life force, that's going to make it really hard to form lasting relationships, or you might even be actively ostracized by the community. So this is kind of the limitation. You add limitations to the powers to make it easier for you to handle and fit in. But if you have those big world-shaking powers, you get less bond points, but you gain extra things for the definition. Remember, I said it gets 1 per thing, but then if your power is really strong and it's hard for you to fit in with the community, with other people, you lose bond points and you gain extra things that you can do with your powers. So that's another thing. So like, for instance, in this description, this guy says he doesn't look different. His powers don't really ask that much for keeping in shape, and occasionally have to sacrifice family or work to be out being a vigilante. So he's occasionally difficult, which means he gets 6 extra bond points, and he gets 1 simple action. So his simple power goes from just being bypass, simple security, electronics, to also being that, and he can take out regular guys with ease using martial arts. So he got an extra power because of how mundane his power is. So that's kind of the limiting factor. You get rewarded for making lower powered heroes because your powers get to be more varied and more diverse, and you can have more pre-built uses. Now, there is a way for you to do something that's not on your power profile. It's a move called push, and You roll. If you succeed, you do the thing. If you get a 10 plus, you get to permanently be able to do that thing. You get to write it on your character sheet as a new thing that you can do. On a 7 to 9, I think you succeed, but there's some kind of like condition or something you mark. I don't remember all the specifics, but like it's not a thing you can do permanently. It's a one-time thing. So by being more mundane, he got more diverse uses for his powers. And the fiction influences the mechanics. So that's where we're at with that. So basically, if it's on your powers profile, all you need to do is justify it in the fiction. Just say, I'm doing this, and this is what I have to do in order to normally do this. If it's not in your powers profile, then you have to use the push move, and push has consequences depending on how hard you're pushing. And there's another move called Burnout, which lets you do something that's like should be borderline impossible or like really hard, pushing yourself to the limit. And I'm not a big fan of the Burnout move, but it's epic. It's supposed to be this epic moment where you do something that you've never done with your powers in order to save a great deal of people from a massive danger. But like, there's a very high likelihood you're just dead afterwards. It's kind of the Burnout move in Worlds in Peril is kind of like the swan song in Symphogear. It lets you do something outlandish and crazy and powerful to save a bunch of people, but then there is a very high likelihood you're just dead afterwards. Or unalived or whatever. I'm so bad at that. I think that might be part of why I don't get a whole lot of coverage, is besides the fact that I cover really obscure things. I don't play the vocabulary game with unalived and dog water and all that stuff. But I don't generally say bad things. Okay. So your power profile, all you need is justify it. To do something really extreme, you probably have to be pretty dire, and you would end up dead at the end of a burnout. Yeah. Well, okay, so technically the burnout move, you're dead either way. It's just a question of if you actually survive by the skin of your teeth and get found and revived and come back and either later in the session or next session. But like, you can run whatever kind of game you want. If you want to run a no death game, you can run a no death game and just say you're unconscious or whatever. Now here's about where I stopped. Choose an origin book. When you choose an origin for your character, you're essentially choosing the reason they became a superhero. May also coincide with when the character got their powers, but the origin book is all about motivations behind the character and why they do what they do. When reading the title of an origin book, you want to start off by reading, I became a superhero because of, and finish the sentence with the title of the origin book. Since an origin book is meant to say something about your background and motivation, also list some ideas for possible foes or enemies you have already made that you can further detail. When you choose a single origin book as your origin, you also get all of the moves associated with that book. If you choose to combine 2 origins to make your own book, you may do so, but you may only have a total of 3 moves. Okay. This means you have to choose which moves from which books you want to keep and which to discard. There are a number of origins that represent the most common tropes and archetypes in comics. In Worlds in Peril, all the origin books are answers to the question, I became a superhero because of, and the origins are as follows. A death in the family, the accident, I'm a freak, I'm back from the dead, the beast inside me, the deal, the future, the wake-up call, My alien heritage. Ooh. Ooh, I might try alien heritage. That could be fun. My legacy. Okay. My mission. What I carry. What I know. Ooh. So a death in the family. Oh, this goes over the moves. Okay. Okay. I think some of these could be good to combine. Okay. Could make a monster. Might make a werewolf. I don't know. Yeah, kind of like that, Nabiru. It's funny. I was watching this actual play of Worlds in Peril. And this one character was playing a character who had uh what is it? The beast inside me, right? And he kept talking about how he how it reminded him, he kept talking about how it reminded him of Naruto. And the ideas and themes, you could tell he really liked, I think he really liked it. But I don't know if it's a thing with the dub, because I never watched the dub for Naruto. Or if I did, I watched it a long time ago, and then I got into watching the sub and never looked back. But he said Naruto. He put the emphasis on the Ruto. So it was like Naruto, and I was like, it's Naruto, not Naruto. And it was just really silly for me, like, and not like bad thing, or not like trying to make fun of him, but like it was like I was just hearing that, and I was suddenly transported back in time to like being a teen again, and being into being like discovering anime for the first time. All right, I gotta read through these so you get all the moves. That's a lot of moves. I thought you were gonna pick one move, but you get all your origin moves. Okay, as long as you have 3. Okay. Some of the origins only have 2 moves. All right. Uh, so there's a lot of stuff. I gotta go through all these. I'm thinking I might make a werewolf of some kind with like beast inside. Or I could do an alien heritage and make a star hunter, because that seems to be like, that was the first thing I made in Prowlers and Paragons, and it was the first thing I made in Masks. You're different from the people of Earth. Answer the questions and set some guidelines about how you're different from humans. You dream. What is your purpose? What do you need in order to survive? Take a moment to draw a line. Okay. Press to invade your mind or harm you mentally. Roll protect. On a 10 plus, you push them out. On a 7 to 9, choose one. I'm not sure if alien is it, because this is very Um. Yeah, that's very alien-like. It's not generic enough for what I was looking for. Legacy seems fun. Could do. See, the thing is, the entire thing about my VTuber lore is that he's a character who's cut off from the people that would give him. He's cut off from his benefactors. So I might combine mission and uh uh alien heritage. What would I take from my mission? So you got the directive. That's not a move. When you go against your directive to lie, misdirect others, cover up indiscretions, roll influence. Not really. I don't like any of that. What I know. Okay. The drive book you choose shows your character's goals and driving force for where they are going and why they do what they do. When reading the title of any drive books, you want to start off by reading "It is my goal in Drive 2" and finish the sentence with the title of the drive book. Advancement in the game is handled mostly by means of opening up new drive books. Every drive book has requirements built into it that must be met in order for that drive book to be opened. Each move inside the book also has a requirement that must be fulfilled before it becomes available for use by the player. All requirements are things that must be done or portrayed by the character in the fiction. Once all the requirements are met, the drive is open and the player can start working towards the moves in the book itself. The current drive book you're working on is the answer to the question, "It's my goal," blah, 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 and the drives you can work toward in... Let me open the drive books. Okay. Uh, Interesting. This is one of the things I saw a lot of complaints about. The drive books were one of the things, the bonds and the drive books were one of the things I saw people say they had to homebrew the most. Well, two of the things. But like bonds, some people said they didn't like players having bonds with other players because it got really confusing because you had to look on somebody else's character sheet to see whether or not you like them or not. Because your character sheet's only going to show the people who like you. It's not going to show who you like. And like there's mechanics for building bonds. If you protect people, help people, or over the course of some interactions, there's mechanics for building bonds, and there's obviously mechanics for burning bonds. So then whenever you have bonds between players, it creates this situation where like another player gets to decide how your character feels about them. Which can get kind of messy. And a lot of people were talking about the drives being really complicated and getting homebrewed. Okay. So you start off with one drive book. So you... Okay. So it's not unlocked like other PBTA games. It's not like XP. Okay. Because in other PBTA games, whenever you complete certain things, you gain XP. When you have a certain amount of XP, you choose an advancement. That's normally how PBTA games handle advancement. But this is saying instead, every drive book has requirements, and then so if you have a certain drive book, You have to complete those things, and then in order to unlock a move, you have to complete the requirements of the drive book. Okay. That sounds like the book is going to heavily dictate um and restrict. Well, it's not going to actively restrict player interaction, but like uh your decisions, if your goal is to complete your drive book or unlock additional drive books, it's going to very much dictate what you're doing, and that sounds really complicated. All right. One person of your choosing. Oh my gosh. I see why people, I can see why people didn't like this. Um, it is way, way more complicated than a normal PBTA game. But I can also see why a lot of people did like it, because it gives you a lot of decision making and it gives you a lot of options. So I see both sides of it, right? Um, it adds a level of complexity and a level of crunch. Let me take a look at these. Let's look at the first one. Adapt to a changing world. Move available to open when you prove to someone that doing something the old-fashioned way gets the better or quicker results. Your inability to cope with an aspect of modern society gets you in trouble. Eh. I'm actually curious how people homebrewed this. Let me look online. All right. Okay. All right. That's not what I was looking for. Apparently, you start with a drive book, but switch over here. You start with a drive book, um, but it's not opened yet, and you have to complete the circumstances to open the book in order to actually take moves from the book. Um, and then so you have to complete the circumstances to open the book, and then if your book becomes opened, then as you complete circumstances to take drives in that book, as you in order to take moves in that book, you gain moves. If you choose to complete the circumstances for another drive book, you can have another new drive book, but and you keep all your old moves, but you can only gain moves from one drive book at a time. Okay. That's not what I was looking for, but it does explain a lot. Ba ba da ba da. I know I saw a bunch of people say that they homebrewed the drives. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let me see if there's anything else after the drives. So you pick a drive book, but I guess so the fact that you get all 3 moves from your origin book. Because normally in a PBTA game, you start with 2 to 3 bonus moves besides the basic moves. You get 2 to 3 moves from your origin, so that's your starting moves, and then your drive book is your advancement. So it separates the starting moves from the advancement track. That's interesting, and I can see why they don't gain XP, because there's no XP to gain. It completely removes the PBTA XP system. I'm not even sure how I would homebrew that in. These are going through all of the drives. We'll have to go through that at some point. Probably death in the family, get struck on an island, blah, 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 blah. Yes, it's doing green arrow. It's doing green arrow. Oh, did I skip past the... Oh, Bond's a backstory. Now you have an idea of the team of superheroes you'll be playing with in the fiction. Take time to fill in the space of bonds in your character sheet. This is also when you get to spend your bond points. Make sure you know how many you have to spend. Bonds represent who or what is important to your character. Have a brief description to define the current state of the relationship, and the next have a value next to them to show the nature of the relationship on your character sheet. Blah 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 blah. In addition, you automatically take a bond. Use this area to detail relationships with other player characters as well. You automatically take a bond with law enforcement and the city respectively. Okay. So you're already connected to the city. The number of bonds you have is equal to the number of PCs playing at the time of character creation other than you. Then consult the chart and add the number of bond points you get depending on how well your character fits in. After adding those 2 numbers, that number is the number of bond points you start with, and also the maximum number of bonds you can have in total, and is called your bond threshold. Oh, you can't go up. Oh, that's interesting. Mark how many bonds you have total in the space bond threshold. Distribute your bonds between characters and important NPCs of the city and law enforcement. At least 1 bond point must be put in each player character, leaving only the number of bonds you got depending on how your character fits in with those around them. Write a sentence to describe each relationship. Okay. So you automatically start with a bond with all of your player characters and with, well, kind of. You burn a bond if you need to succeed, because it makes something not just a success, but a critical success. But your bonds, you can regain bonds, you can build bonds, you can have interactions. But if you have a bond threshold, that means you can't build any new bonds until you spend them. So I don't think it's exactly a last resort. So if, like, for instance, you fit in really well, you start with 6, you have 2 other players at the table, so that's 8 plus the 1 for each for law enforcement and the city, so that's 10. So then you can never have more than 10 bonds. And then as you burn those bonds, you regain new ones. You would then build new ones through roleplay, I think. Um, okay. Okay. So a bond score of 0 means the relationship is not yet defined, and a negative bond score means the relationship is toxic, dangerous, or otherwise uncomfortable or unhealthy for your character. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this example. Make sure I've got my math right. 2 other players, so that's 2 more bonds. I have 1, 6 extra because normal. Does it say his bond threshold? It should be 10. Oh, so you don't get 1 extra for that. Okay. Or you start with 1. Okay. 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 3, 6, 8. City's more important to me right now. Even more family. I want to carry the mission with Father gave me, so I'm going to put in. So yeah, there it is. 1 in each end of them anyway. Three in the city. There's 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you don't get bonus ones. Okay. Okay, all right. Well, that example was very helpful for clearing that up. But yeah, Nabaru, I don't think it's a last second thing. I think it's a thing where you're supposed to keep spending because you can never have more than you started with. Current motivation, your hero. You need to show your character working towards your goals as per the drive book you choose for your hero. Once you open up the drive book, it's usually achievements. Okay. Advancing and changing your character in Worlds and Perils, all done via currency called achievements. Upon receiving and accumulating achievements, you can work towards events Buy certain things for your character. The things you can do with achievements are as follows. You can spend achievements to raise... Oh, so there is XP. Okay. Once you open up a drive book, at the same time, whenever you unlock the drive book itself or move within it, you earn an achievement. Okay. Advancing and changing characters is done. Currency done. Achievement. Raise a modifier as a stat. A stat modifier can never be raised above 3. Okay. Spend. Okay. You can raise your bond threshold by 1 at any time by spending 2 achievements. Okay, so it can go up. Okay. You can write a new thing you can do on your power profile by spending achievements explaining how your powers have changed and for what reason by justifying it in the fiction of the game world as per the following chart. Okay. So every time you unlock a move, you earn an achievement, but that means you're going to be... Unless there are more ways to earn achievements, it's going to take forever to improve. Like, you have to unlock 4 moves to take something from a 2 to a 3? Have to unlock 2 moves before you gain a simple power? You can raise the number of critical conditions you can take before making the last chance move by 1, adding another step to your condition track by spending 3 achievements and explaining why and what happened to your character in-game world to justify it. The regular condition track is shown. Held in the rules, taking conditions. Okay. Oh, okay. So the normal... Oh, so it's on the 5th thing. Okay. Oh, no, this is if you have it. This is the alternate one. Ability -1, -2, -3. Then make the last chance move. Okay. You can remove 1 limitation placed on your powers by spending 3 achievements. Okay. So now we know how leveling up goes. I don't know how I feel about that level up system. It feels unnecessarily complex. Normally in a PBTA game, you just have a track that if you complete certain conditions, you gain potential, XP, call whatever. Usually one of those conditions is failing a roll. And then after you gain 5 XP, you pick from a list of things to do. And one of those things is normally taking another move. This flips that around where the only way to earn XP is by taking new moves. Which means you're going to get this bloated list of moves before you actually get to see any real advancement. Let me take a look at something. I know this isn't like the point. Tonight was supposed to be about what do they call it? Three achievements. Okay, that's what they're called, achievements. It keeps taking me to some other things. I'm trying to Google Worlds in Peril achievements. It keeps taking me to Outer Worlds Peril. Oh, I found something. So let me show you something right now. This is the Google Plus archive. It's an archive of a bunch of stuff from PBTA. There's tons of PBTA stuff from Google Plus, and it's just archives of posts and responses. Ooh, this is a good question. That's not helpful. No one answered the question. Just someone just saying it, that the question was dumb. Okay. Oh, that's for, I think that's bonds that you've burned. Okay, yeah, that's bonds being burned. Okay. This is what I'm looking for, drives here. Uh, okay, anyway, let's get back to it. So we know how to make a character. Let's, we've gone over character creation, learned it together. I guess let's make the Star Hunter. Let's tinker with that. Okay. Since that's normally what I make. That's gonna be hard to make because he has the powers on foot and he has the powers in mech. We'll make a Star Hunter that's still looking for his mech. Doesn't have his mech anymore. Or the mech will be a power with the mech will be a power with advantage. Advantages. Yeah, it'll be a power with advantage. Okay. All right. Star Hunter. He's gonna have +1 to protect. -1 to influence because he's not a leader. +2 to smash because he's a fighter. A 0 to investigate because he's not super smart. But a +1 to maneuver because he is agile and knows his way around a battlefield. Okay. Okay. Babada. Oh, it has. That's drive books. I want origin book. I want to combine a couple origin books. There's so many. What would I do here? I'd probably do. Not that. I might do my alien heritage. Or it could be my legacy. I don't think this character is gonna work. At least not with what I know. Not without doing a bunch more reading. Not a simple thing. So, I mean, could do the mission thing. Because he's from another world. Definitely not the beast. Not back from the dead. Why does the accident only have one move? It gives you one feature and one move. These things seem so... Yes, Nabiru, making it was an accident. I think I'm making it intentionally hard for myself, and I really don't need to. All right, Star Hunter is not going to work. And I'm going to use Notepad for this because it'll be easier. Okay. Okay. So you can have drive stuff open. Okay. You'll always be effective, especially. I wouldn't even let them roll in that case. Like if you're firing a bolt of fire at a fire creature, I wouldn't even let them roll to attack it. Can't think game is conditions. Okay. Our choice. Okay, character. So you have to do something in the fiction to deal with minor conditions, or else they get worse. Whatever action or move that requires, or you can defy danger to try to ignore the condition and do what you need to do. If the condition still applies when you embark on a new course of action, you may have to defy danger again. Okay. So defy danger move could make things worse. Okay. -1 to a stat, to one stat, -1 to all ongoing moves, -2 to all ongoing moves. Make the last chance move. If you fail, you may die. Okay. So it is you can only take 3, then on the 4th one you get messed up. All right. I drink a lot of water now. Okay. Uh, Oftentimes, it takes a transition panel or two for the character to be up on their feet and ready to battle. Other times, it may still be bruised or broken, but still able to fight. Most common way for her is to do the fit-in move. Everyday life, make an effort to build or perhaps rebuild relationships after burning bonds. For someone important to them, they get to recover from their injuries. Granted, there's okay, and that's the other thing with bonds. You recover based. The main recovery mechanic is based on the number of bonds you have with the person you're fitting in with, I believe. Okay. All right, so we've gone over all of character creation. Need an origin book. Need a drive book, but don't get anything from the drive book until I start play. Gosh, there's like 3 fruit flies in the basement down here that just keep flitting around, and I'm probably gonna have to get one of those like fly tape things just to deal with them. It's gonna be so annoying. I was hoping one of the spider webs would catch them. Cobweb's not even useful for anything. Okay. All right. So we're not gonna make a Star Hunter because that's too complicated for this, and I don't know enough about this system to make something that complex. So we're gonna make a golem. We're gonna make a living golem, a person who just woke up and discovered that he could become a golem. Okay. His smash is +2. Influence is -1. Maneuver is 0 because he's not good at maneuvering. Protect is +1 and investigate. Also +1. Okay. Okay. Can transform into a golem. Huge launch magical energy attacks. Simple. Difficult. Hold up a building. Borderline. Rocket fist through steel. Exactly, Nabiru. Something. So we can hold up a small crumbling building with difficulty. The borderline limits of his powers. What would be a good borderline? Because it's technically super strength, right? He can blast bad guys. His borderline is that you can do that. Now, something that's theoretically possible. Yeah. Impossible. What do we say is impossible for him? What is something that his powers can't do? His borderline thing that he can do if he focuses and tries really hard is he can hit something that's in orbit with magical energy. And he's got super strength, so he's got magical blast and super strength. Having finesse. Ooh, he can't be delicate. That makes sense. Operate anything requiring delicacy, finesse or delicacy. Okay. Okay. Um, the origin would be probably the accident. Say that there was some accident that he just doesn't remember, because the I'm a freak is supposed to be for someone who's stuck. Um, ooh. Still has glowing red eyes. That way we could use the I'm a freak thing where people are just startled by him because of his glowing red eyes. Eh, part of the because that would lend towards saying he's a golem that turns into a human. And part of the thing with this character is that he doesn't know if he's human or golem. So I think I'm gonna go with the got your powers a mistake, free accident, or experiment you hadn't seen coming. It was a traumatic experience. Your memories are confusing and disorienting. All right, so we'll say he's got the accident playbook. The accident origin. Okay. Oh, hey, Silva. I'm glad you had fun. I'll probably be winding down a little bit myself. I realized we did a lot of reading and a lot of like rules breakdown before we got to the actual character creation. But I mean, that's what I promised, learning live on stream with all of you. Okay. Okay. So he got his powers from a mistake. Yeah, we're doing a golem again. I thought it'd be easier to do something I know for a new system. Who would be an enemy that he made? Yes, Tom, I definitely will. I definitely will. I might combine the accident with the beast inside and say there's like an elemental spirit. No, because the entire point is that he doesn't know which one's him. And giving a separate personality to the golem. Uh uh might combine the accident with, well, because there's very few things, so I could take one move. It's triggered. Define what triggers your beast taking and how it does. Your beast also has goals that do not match your own. When your beast is unleashed, they pursue those goals until the conditions or state that unleashed your beast is done away with. Ooh, I like the beast inside me. I like this one for this build. Um, so we say, and it only has 2 moves, which means it combines perfectly to make the 3 moves for a playbook. Cool. Okay. No, I haven't, Tom. Accident gives you powers. All I can think of is I put a shock to your system. Static shock. Oh goodness, Nabiru. Really? Okay, I'll have to check it out then. I'll have to see if I can find it. If it's silent film, that could be interesting to watch. Oh, it's German? Maybe I'll see if I can find it. I don't know. Let me make a note of it so I don't forget. Before 1925. I made a note of it so I can look for it. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you, Tom. Uh, well, a golem is normally going to. So, in the legend of the golem, the whole thing is the golem does whatever is written on the scroll put in its mouth, but then one night, the scroll doesn't get taken from its mouth and it has no directions. So, when it's directionless, it wanders uh, and flails about, causing massive destruction until someone takes the scroll out of its mouth, causing it to become inert and stop moving. So, we'll say. Um, the spirit. So in D&D, normally golems are elemental spirits that are tied to physical bodies in order to force them to follow directions and to move the physical bodies. What do I say the beast wants to do? He just wants to rage and destroy everything until it's given some direction. It thrives on knowing what to do. Okay. Ooh, someone I respect, fear gives me. So the beast takes over, forever completely lost or without direction, or if someone I care about and respect slash fear gives me directions. I like this combining feature. It actually makes it really interesting and gives you a new level of customization. And so that thing that I thought was really annoying, that like some uh some origins only have one or two things on them. Um uh Actually works in my favor in this case because it means I can easily combine things. Because I've got the 3 moves and the slight changes, because that's what it said. It said combine, that you can combine them and they get 3 moves. If you choose to combine 2 origin books, you may do so, but you only keep a total of 3 moves. Yeah. I mean, if I need to discard something in order to have the extra features, I will. But yeah, so now I have the whole thing with the beast taking over. And drive. What is the drive? What is the goal? So the drive doesn't give you anything on character creation except giving you a track to follow for leveling up. Um Man woke up with no memories but lots of pain. His clothes were torn and he had no ID. if you ever went too long without direction. Now the drives is what he's trying to do as a superhero, right? It should answer, it's my goal and drive to. So what would be his goal? Well, what's this character's goal? Adapt to a changing world? Become an icon. Oh, actually, I think it has descriptions for each of these. Yeah. Want to make stuff that changes the world. Die trying. Ooh. Let's take a look at Start Anew. Yeah, let's go with Start Anew. He's lost everything. Oh, wow. Each playbook only has a couple moves in it. Okay. So you're gonna take multiple playbooks over time. Okay. Uh... Ooh. Figure out who I am. That's gonna be the drive. Drive is figure out who I am. Okay. So I have the book, I just haven't opened it yet. Got 3 moves to start with. And this is different from my other golem characters because he has the drawback of the golem spirit. And then the question becomes who got tacked on to who, or if they're two separate individuals. It kind of like, it doesn't exactly fit the theme, because my original theme for the idea is a person who has to deal with this question of, is he a man who turns into a golem or a golem who turns into a man? But if there's a separate golem spirit, then it becomes obvious that it's two people that are merged together. So that's why I wanted to say it's not a it's not so much a spirit of the golem that's there. It's the instincts of a golem. Like, we all have survival instincts, we all have self-preservation instincts. These are just the instincts to complete objectives, to do what you're told, and then to rage and tantrum if you don't have a direction. So that's an important distinction. He still experiences his own human survival instincts and experiences hunger and exhaustion, so he sees he's in both worlds. So now the only other thing to look at is the question, what is, oh, whoops, I'm in the wrong book, that's why. Is if he has extra powers. So let's look at his ease of fitting in. Okay. I was thinking it's a thing that he can do freely, which leads to the confusion. Because like since it's a thing that happens freely and he can freely move between forms, he doesn't know which one is his native form. He can sleep in either form. He can I'd say that like maybe when the golem takes over, he starts to transform. Maybe like if he loses control to the golem, he might start to transform if it wants to rage. Ooh, that's neat, Tom. Make himself invisible and summon the spirits of the dead. Ooh. Lending to his confusion. Okay. Well, this isn't so much multiple personalities, which is why I try to be very careful of. He has multiple forms of his human form and his golem form, right? But like he experiences the instincts of either one. It's kind of like in Animorphs when like if someone whenever they morphed forms, they got the animal instincts of the creatures that they morphed into, which led to some of the tension and the struggles that they faced in using some of their animal forms. Like the time when they like turned into ants and they all almost got brainwashed and like all that stuff. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. Ooh, what if I separate it? What if I completely separate it? No, with it being like this, I'd say he's has frequently difficult times interacting with other people because he never knows if he's doing something because he cares about the person or if he's doing something because the golem is making him do it. And so because of that, he has trouble fitting in with other people. And his memories being gone, um, he frequently has difficult fitting in. Actually, I don't know now. I don't know, chat. So this is a character that is compelled to do the things that people he cares about or respect/fears ask him. Ooh, a hypnotic keyword. Okay. The only legend that I know, it deals with like being compelled to complete uh the orders written down on the scroll in his mouth. That's the legend that I know. Um but I also acknowledge that there are plenty of legends in history and culture that I don't know. So it could be motivated by a desire to protect. Hmm. Yeah, but I'd say frequently difficult. Hmm. Ah, I see what you mean. So then it's like hearing a request from someone he cares about or fears slash respects triggers like a hypnotic keyword that like he's now compelled to do what they said. Oh, I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that would be. Ooh, that could be an interesting thing, Tom. I'm going to say it's extremely hard because forming lasting relationships is going to be hard in that situation. Never knows if he's doing something because he wants to, or if the golem instincts are compelling him. So he's got 2 extra difficult and 2 extra simple powers. Okay, so last bad guys. Etrigan was created at a Howard Johnson restaurant. Ooh, interesting. Throw cars. Difficult would be burn through. And one more difficult power, something that takes effort for him. Um, let's do something interesting. When he focuses, he can use his magic senses to locate other sources of magical energy. Gives him a different power. He's the cool. The cool part is Jason, Blood, and Etrigan share their strengths and weaknesses. Okay. Like a radar. Okay. The demon Merlin captured and fused with the guy. Your character got me thinking of all the characters I know who have such concepts. That's interesting. All right. We have already gone over my normal streaming time, but I think in this time we've learned a whole bunch about making characters. If I do another one of these streams with this system, yeah, definitely, Tom. If I do another streams with this system, I think it will be a lot easier and we'll probably make a lot more progress now that we actually know about character creation. Yeah, I think the whole thing with the different playbooks took me for a loop. The advancement is the one thing. The drives are the one thing that bug me. I would want to replace, like, the drive and achievement system are one thing that just bug me. I would want to replace those with something else, but I don't know enough about PBTA to know what to replace them with. Because the drives are very, like, it gives you like a very direct thing telling you what you want to do. And it feels almost too on the nose. It's almost too pointed. Anyway, let's wind down for the night. I realize we're going a little bit late, so let's start winding down. I gotta go do some grocery shopping stuff soon. Thank you to everyone who came out tonight. This was fun. it was nice having people on stream, and it was interesting going over this game system. Thank you all for humoring me. I realized that like I bounce around between different game systems so much, and I'm covering new game systems, to me at least, so often that like it can be hard for some people to like stick around. I think the main thread is I really like superheroes and I really like giant robots. And I really love superheroes that pilot giant robots. So, and I also like golems. I'll look up that that silent movie you mentioned, Tom. See if it's something that I might be interested in. See if I can find an English translation of it. It said it's from like 1925, so who knows? Maybe it got digitized at some point. Might find it on a streaming service. Anyway, thank you all for humoring me and for coming along on this adventure. Let's do our affirmations for everybody tonight. To Silva, to Hattie, to GearFrame87, to Tom, to Superhero60, and to anyone else who watched the stream and didn't say anything in chat, who lurked silently, and to anyone who watches this VOD afterwards, I want to say, I love all of you, and I believe in each and every one of you. I think that you all are special, important, and truly unique individuals. I believe that each one of you makes this world a better place by living in it. I am grateful every day to live in a world with you in it. Thank you for coming to my stream. Thank you for giving me your time, your attention, and your energy. Thank you for being a member of this community. Oh, thank you, Tom. And always remember the Star Hunter motto: shoot for the stars, have wonderful adventures, live your dreams, and always stop to enjoy the memes. I like to say positive things to my viewers at the end because I believe it's important for us to say positive things about each other and to each other on a regular basis. I think that that's something that helps with building good and healthy relationships. You're welcome, Superhero60. I'm so glad to have had you here on stream. It has been very great having you. I do ask that you like the stream, that everyone like the stream. It does help the algorithm with pushing it out. And if you have any friends, family, nemesis, enemies, coworkers, bosses, best friends, cousins, sisters, uncle that you think might enjoy my content, feel free to show them my content or invite them to next stream. What's today? Today's Friday. Next stream is going to be Monday, 8:30 p.m. EST. Look forward to seeing anyone there. If you want to keep up with what I'm doing on YouTube, then feel free to subscribe and ding the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever I go live. And even if you are subscribed, make sure you're still subscribed. Sometimes YouTube does the weird thing where it like unsubscribes people without telling them. And if you want to keep up with what I'm doing outside of YouTube, you can follow me on Twitter or join my Discord. Links to both of those are in the description down below. Also, always remember, you are never required to donate to be here. You are never required to pay to be welcome here. You are always a welcome, valued, and important member of this community. With that said, I do want to say thank you to all of the people who have donated and helped me out with stuff in the past and helped make so many things possible in my life. I don't know where I'd be without each and every one of you. And if you ever feel compelled to donate to help improve the stream or to improve my life, there are links where you can do that down in the description below. Thank you to all of you for coming, and have yourselves a wonderful night.